but
the recent one regarding the horse.
Oh, right, yes.
That was pretty emotional.
Right.
I mean, that was, if you're an animal lover, that got a little tough.
Right.
You know.
But still not a long list.
There is not a long list.
So I was going to ask you, I know you haven't seen it, but Peter Jackson obviously has a, cult following of people. Full disclosure, I haven't seen any of his other movies, period. But I did see the one about World War I, and it was an incredible technical achievement. And I know you have seen it, and I think we kind of both agree that it's more a technical achievement than a cinematic one. But still, for a historical perspective, to see the people looking real and not like choppy walking like Charlie Chaplin and things like that, there's a lot of good service, I would think, to historians by Peter Jackson's film, and maybe just him drawing in all these people who, are fans of The Hobbit, maybe just to care about World War I.
True, and I think another thing we forget about is, particularly doing a movie or a documentary or anything in a current film venue, is the actual film footage from the war itself.
Right.
I mean, there's not a huge amount of it, and what may be available cannot be used because of what it's made of, that it would just disintegrate if we would even attempt to do it.
Well, I think it was reflected in the film. There's a lot of scenes that are repeated in the movie.
Yes, and you'll see, if you really do
similar shots,
particularly an old silent movie, you'll see the same trench scene probably 10 or 12 times in any type of war film footage movie.
Right. Well, overall, where do we stand now, and where are we going here in the near future as far as this project, or in the long term future as far as the project is concerned?
I think we, being at it basically for about 8 months, we are sort of really now digging into the forensics and the genealogy. We have a great relationship with the gentleman at the National Archives Personnel Center in St. Louis. So a lot of our military record availability is somewhat determinant upon their turnaround time,
right?
Which normally takes 4 to 6 weeks for us. So as we're submitting and waiting for those personnel records, we now begin the process of doing our, again, genealogical forensics off databases. But one of the things we're starting to have some time to do now is to contact state archives, county historical societies, where we think probably some of this stuff may be located, but no one really knows. I mean, There was a gentleman that primarily raised in Iowa, went to Iowa State, what's now Iowa State, and joins the 15th Illinois National Guard, which becomes 370th.
Right.
Luckily, we found an exhibit done on him at Iowa State during the centennial period.
Okay.
So it's finding those things where we can reach out to those archives and historical societies. We have a couple in Chicago that we have to go back to because there's a couple African-American museums and archives. So now it's getting back into the archival processing, but also contacting these people and again, sort of like we do with the families, letting them know about the project and its purpose, what can we assist them with and what can they assist us with. And then, from my perspective, the three history majors, they have the phenomenal job of, like I say, the genealogy, the forensics, and I get sort of tag on to that a little bit. But then I have to be engaged naturally as anything with the fundraising component, since we're not asking for federal appropriations, and we have a phenomenal team here at the university that's engaged with me on that. So that's been a highlight sort of an area that's new to me, sort of as the research is to the students. The fundraising component with the team that we have here is absolutely phenomenal on that. So
and just to tie things up, is the legislation considered sort of a formality to be passed, and that will happen soon?
Yes.
Okay, well, that's a good thing. Well, it's been a pleasure learning more about an underdiscovered part of our history that I'm clearly fascinated by, and I appreciate your time.
And we thank you for coming back to the university.
Well, I am glad to do it.
This podcast was made possible by our great sponsors like Easton Roofing, the presenting sponsor of Kansas City Profiles at the Danny Kling Scale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Easton Roofing, where integrity matters. We hope you enjoyed the latest Danny Kling Scale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Come back soon for something fresh and new.